There is someone running behind my truck in the rear view mirror right now. The speedometer is climbing past 100 kilometers an hour. The engine is already straining. He is still the same distance behind us. His arms do not swing. His head does not move. His feet barely seem to touch the road. This time, I did not say the words. The new driver sitting beside me did. And now I have less than 20 kilometers to reach the village lights before the thing behind us reaches the truck. I have driven long-haul delivery routes for 6 years. I usually take night shifts because the pay is better and the highways are quieter. One of my regular routes follows a 2-lane road between 2 provinces. For almost 2 hours, it passes through forest, fields, and stretches of farmland with no houses and barely any streetlights. The senior driver who trained me gave me one warning before my first night on that road. If you see someone waving for a ride, keep driving. If you see the same person farther ahead, wearing the same clothes and standing in the same pose, never say out loud that you have seen them twice. I asked why saying it mattered. He looked through the windshield for a long time before answering. Seeing it is an accident, he said. Naming it is an invitation. Then he told me one more thing. If you ever forget the rule, reach the village near kilometer 80. Do not stop until you pass the first houses and the roadside shrine. It will not follow you beyond the lights. For the first few months, nothing happened. I drove that route so often that the warning began to feel like an old story drivers used to frighten newcomers. Then, one night, I saw a man standing on the left shoulder of the road. He wore a dark, long-sleeved shirt and dark trousers. One arm was raised in a slow wave. I did not stop. Company policy forbids us from picking up strangers. 3 kilometers later, another man stood beside the road. Same clothes, same height, same arm raised at exactly the same angle. I told myself there must be 2 workers waiting for a ride. 5 kilometers after that, I saw him again. Same clothes, same pose, same blank face turned toward my windshield. The words rose into my throat before I remembered the warning. I bit the inside of my cheek hard enough to taste blood and kept silent. As I passed him, his raised hand slowly turned so that one finger pointed after my truck. I did not check the mirror. After that, the hitchhiker appeared every few weeks. Never when another driver rode with me. Only when I was alone, exhausted, and far from the nearest town. Sometimes I saw him twice. Once I counted 4 versions of him along the same 10-kilometer stretch. I told the senior driver, He was not surprised. Almost everyone who drives that road at night sees it eventually, he said. Remember the rule. Do not say you have seen the same one twice. I asked what had happened to drivers who broke it. He told me a man from our company once announced the repeated hitchhiker over the radio. The other drivers heard him screaming that someone was running behind his truck. His radio transmission ended near kilometer 73. The truck was found the next morning, parked in the middle of the road with the engine still running. The driver was never found. 3 months ago, I almost became the next one. I was running late with a delivery and had been driving for too many hours. To stay awake, I started talking over the radio with a colleague traveling in the opposite direction. We talked about work and family, anything to keep my mind moving. Then I saw the hitchhiker on the left shoulder. A few kilometers later, I saw him again. I was too tired to stop myself. I think I have seen the same man twice, I said. Same clothes, same pose. The radio went silent. When my colleague answered, his voice had changed. You said that out loud? I looked into the rearview mirror. A man was running behind my truck. He stayed centered in the lane, close enough for my red taillights to shine across his chest. His arms hung straight at his sides. There was no rise or fall in his stride, as if the road itself were pulling him forward. I accelerated. He kept the same distance. My colleague spoke quickly over the radio. What kilometer are you near? I told him 72. Get to the village at 80. Do not stop before the houses. Do not look at the roadside. And whatever you hear, do not answer it. The hitchhiker moved closer. First, he was 20 truck lengths behind me, then 10, then 5. Something knocked against the rear cargo door. 3 slow knocks. My radio crackled, and a voice identical to mine whispered through the speaker. I have seen him twice. I switched the radio off. The whisper continued. At kilometer 79, the village turnoff appeared ahead. I took it too fast. One wheel dropped onto the dirt shoulder and the truck fishtailed, but I kept my foot on the accelerator. The first house was dark. The second had a porch light burning. Beside the third stood a small roadside shrine glowing under a single bulb. The moment the truck passed it, the knocking stopped. I checked the mirror. The road behind me was empty. Far beyond the village lights, a dark figure stood motionless at the turnoff. I took the long route back and refused to drive that highway again. For 3 months, I found excuses: vehicle trouble, scheduling conflicts, fever, anything that kept me away. Then, last night, the company assigned me a rush delivery on the same route. No other experienced driver was available. They sent a new employee with me so I would not be alone. I almost told him the rule before we left. Then I imagined how it would sound. I worried that mentioning the hitchhiker might make him search for it along the roadside. So I said nothing. That was my second mistake. For the first hour, the road was empty. My coworker dozed in the passenger seat. I began to believe having someone with me was enough to keep the hitchhiker away. Then the new driver sat up and looked through his window. "Did you see that man waving?" he asked. I kept my eyes ahead. No. 3 kilometers later, the same dark shape appeared in the headlights. Before I could stop him, my coworker leaned toward the windshield. "That is the same person," he said. "Same clothes, same pose. We have seen him twice." The radio switched on by itself. 3 slow knocks sounded against the rear cargo door. That brings me back to now. There is someone running behind my truck in the mirror. The speedometer is past 100. The village is still 18 kilometers away. My coworker keeps asking what is happening. I cannot answer him. The hitchhiker is close enough now that I can see his face. It is mine. The radio crackles. My own voice comes through the speaker, calm and clear. Seeing it is an accident. The figure behind us reaches one hand toward the cargo door. Naming it is an invitation. The village lights disappear. Not because they have gone out, because someone is now standing in the road ahead, waving for us to stop.